What's happening, folks? Back with another reaction, back with another J-drama score reaction, and we're going to listen to another tune from Nobunaga Concerto, a historical fictional drama from 2014, meaning it's about what is known as the Warring States period in Japan, just before the Tokugawa shogunate became the dominant political force for hundreds of years until the Meiji Restoration. And it relates to one of the most famous figures in Japanese history, Oda Nobunaga, but there's also a fictional, fantastical element to it, meaning Nobunaga is a character from that time, but there's a character from the future who looks just like him, who somehow finds himself back in the past, meaning a character from 2014 is suddenly thrust into the Warring States period, and he just so happens to look nearly identical to the real Nobunaga, and hilarity, drama, and emotion ensue following that event. But yes, I won't spoil it because we're going to watch it on my Patreon. Indeed, I'm going to do a watch along for Crisis, which I haven't yet started because I really want to catch up on a few comments from Lucky 7 before I move on to the next one. And in that regard, thank you as always to Michaela and Dawn, who've been watching these J-dramas in real time as I go through them on Patreon. And once we get through Crisis, we will watch Nobunaga Concerto after that. So I'm very much looking forward to it. It stars Oguri Shun. He basically can do no wrong in my book. He's one of my very favorite actors, period, not just in J-drama. And I think he gives an awesome double performance in this, meaning he plays the real Nobunaga and the guy sent back from the future, whose real name is Saburo. And yes, as I mentioned when I did the reaction to the first tune on this soundtrack, it's done by Taku Takahashi, who also did the soundtrack to Antiquarian Bookshop Biblia, and it's in conjunction with M-Flow, who Dawn pointed out is like a rapper, like an MC in Japanese hip-hop music, and who has worked with members of Arashi before. But yes, he does not appear on this tune. There's, I think, one or two tracks where there are vocals and lyrics, but this is not one of them. This is like a proper score tune, and the tune we're going to listen to is called Ambition of Daimyo. Now, Daimyo were the like regional feudal lords of Japan during and after the period of the Warring States. And again, like after the period of the Warring States, the Tokugawa shogunate came into power, but the shogun was sort of the real like military leader of Japan during that following era, but the daimyos were still in place. They were just like subservient to the shogun and nominally to the emperor, though it wasn't until the Meiji Restoration that the emperor really regained like actual political power. It was the shogun that basically ran Japan for hundreds of years. In any case, the point is, the daimyo were these regional warlords who held territory, like land, and it was hereditary, meaning you would inherit the title and holdings of a daimyo if your dad happened to be a daimyo, which again is how Oda Nobunaga came into power. In any case, the point is, this track does indeed play when there's political dealings, people taking sides, being willing to go to war against other daimyo, and these factional disputes which characterize the Warring States. But it's also reflective. It feels like, you know, people wondering what's going to happen, and there's a sense of anticipation. Sonically, it's like this mellow, down-tempo trance tune for like parts of it. It sort of goes like an A-B structure. But yes, the A sections have this down-tempo and moody type of trance feel, and then the B sections, it sort of goes into like true ambient, and it sort of hollows out for a minute, takes a breath, and then goes back into the A section. So again, I'd call it like ambient trance, down-tempo trance. Let's give it a listen. This is from Taku Takahashi and his soundtrack to Nobunaga Concerto from 2014, and the track is Ambition of Daimyo. I really do love it. This plays a lot during the show, of course, and to the best of my recollection, it plays a lot during, again, times where Nobunaga or Saburo or some of the other main characters have, things to think about, decisions to make, who will get their allegiance, who's scheming and who's more trustworthy. It takes, or it's used in a lot of sections where there's, suspense and a sense of, something's going to happen, but what is it going to be and who's going to fall on which side of this line. So I enjoy the tune in of itself, and I also enjoy the way it's used in the show. And again, Michaela has seen this, so she'll know of what I speak. Nevertheless, the down-tempo trance feel I really do enjoy. It has a bit of a modern meets historical or traditional, meaning it's got a trance kick drum, and it feels like a dance track in a way, if a low key mellow one. But there's also that traditional plucked Japanese instrument, as well as some of the percussive details that feel, and sort of score incidental elements that feel very throwback and in a time long gone. And it also feels a bit east-west. Again, there's that eastern sort of plucked string instrument, but there's also the piano, which again fits nicely with the trance sonic. So again, it's a bit east-west, it's a bit modern throwback, so I like the balance of the tune, is I guess what I'm saying. In any case, more from this soundtrack to come. Eventually we will go through it after we go through Crisis, which I hope to start soon. I just need to, in the next day or two, catch up on some Lucky 7 comments. So in any case, let me know what you think. I'll see you for the next one. Peace.